The next 30 minutes, we will take you through all the top stories from around the globe. A countdown has begun for diplomats from European Union to leave Russia after Kremlin announced their expulsion. Among countries affected are France, Germany and Poland, who each will have 4 of their diplomats in Moscow sent home. Ukraine will forfeit 13 diplomats, and Denmark and Albania and Spain each will have 2 of their embassy staff expelled. US embassy staff have moved out from the St. Petersburg consulate. This comes after Moscow ordered the closing of the consulate. People were seen carrying bags and furnishings out of the consulate gates and loading the items into cars. 60 expelled US diplomats have been asked to leave Russia by April 5th. A Russian airplane was on the ground at Dulles International Airport on Friday. According to the reports, the airplane is set to transport expelled Russian diplomats back to Russia. Aerial images show dozens of large boxes being loaded onto a Russian jet. Russia claims that it has reached an agreement with rebels in the Syrian town of Douma in eastern Ghouta. According to Russian army, the agreement has been made to allow for the insurgents to leave the last rebel-held town in eastern Ghouta. However, the rebel group has denied Russia's claim. It stated that the UN-mediated talks with Russia were heading in the right direction, but no decision has been taken yet. France has offered to mediate conflict in northern Syria, where Turkey launched a military offensive against Kurdish fighters in January. This comes after Macron met with the members of the Kurdish-dominated Syrian Democratic Forces, including the YPG. Macron expressed hope for dialogue between Turkey and the military. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan slammed French President Macron for taking wrong approach towards Syria. Erdogan said that France, which has been victim of terrorism, is openly supporting terrorists. The Maritsa River rose to peak levels on Friday, flooding fields, riverbanks and homes in Turkey's northwest province of Iridium. Thousands of people have been affected by the floods. The overflowing river had engulfed riverbank fields and a historic bridge in Iridium city. An independent autopsy has revealed that Stephen Clark, an unarmed black man, was shot multiple times from behind by California police. Forensic pathologist Dr. Bennett Omalu told reporters that one of the 7 gunshots would have killed Clark. Clark's death is the most recent in a string of fatal shootings of black men by police that have triggered protests across the United States. A Taiwanese exchange student was arrested in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania on a charge of allegedly planning to attack his school. Police claimed that An So-sun was in the process of compiling a military-style weapons arsenal. Police searched his host family's home and found various ammunition and guns components. A U.S. court has acquitted Noor Salman, wife of the gunman who opened fire on Pulse nightclub in Orlando in 2016. Noor was facing charges of helping her husband Omar Mateen carry out a terrorist attack in the name of the Islamic State and giving misleading statements to law enforcement officers who interviewed her following the shooting. However, the jury did not find her guilty of the charges. Talks are underway between Athens and Skopje for a solution to a long-standing dispute over Macedonia's name. United Nations mediator Matthew Nimitz earlier held talks with foreign ministers of both countries on Friday. Nimitz said that both ministers focused on the long-term relationship and stability of the region. A supporter of former Catalan president drove 17 hours from Barcelona to Neumünster in Germany to demand Puigdemont's release. Xavier Urgel says that Puigdemont was elected democratically and thus should be released immediately. He visited the prison where Puigdemont is being held. A smattering of clashes broke out in Santiago as demonstrators marked the annual day of the young combatant protesters set makeshift barricades on fire and threw objects at the police. The police responded with tear gas. Protest was held in memory of two young brothers who were killed by police in demonstration against the Pinochet dictatorship in 1985. Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai visited her homeland for the first time since Taliban gunmen shot her in the head. Security has been tightened up in Swat, but Malala is still waiting for security clearance to visit Swat. A fire on board a bus in western Thailand killed 20 migrant workers from Myanmar on Friday. The bus was carrying 47 workers who had just crossed the border into Thailand to work legally. At least 3 people were injured in the accident. All departing flights from Stansted Airport in London were cancelled after a bus caught a fire outside a terminal building. Witnesses reported seeing thick smog as the blaze completely destroyed a shuttle bus parked in a waiting area. No injuries have been reported so far. A court in Senegal has sentenced opposition leader Khalifa Saul to 5 years in jail for embezzlement and falsifying documents. Saul was arrested a year ago on suspicion of embezzling $3.4 million. His supporters say the trial was politically motivated, a charge the ruling party denies. For the first time, refugees competed in the Dead to Red relay running race, an annual marathon relay event in Jordan. Teams of runners were given 24 hours to complete the grueling 242 kilometers long route. A total of 427 runners competed in the race, including one team comprised of refugees. Chinese President Xi Jinping's special representative Yang Jiechi held talks with South Korean President Moon Jae-in in Seoul on Friday. Both sides pledged to promote a political settlement of the Korean Peninsula issue. Jiechi is in South Korea to brief the Moon Jae-in government about recent visit of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to China. Dozens of Chinese white dolphins were spotted off the coast near the Yangjiang nuclear power station in South China's Guangdong province. The Chinese white dolphins are often regarded as an indicator to measure the marine environment as they are sensitive to water quality. They have been under the national first-class protection since 1988 and is considered as the panda of the sea. A new pay-by-hour love hotel in Kiev has opened its doors for clients who are keen to introduce some creativity into their sexual life. In close cooperation with a group of sexologists, 7 of the most popular Ukrainian sexual fantasies were selected to decorate the rooms. The hotel's strict code of conduct also forbids anyone aged under 21 and prohibits prostitution, drugs and alcohol. Chinese astronauts are undergoing intensive training for upcoming space station missions. The missions for the space station will feature long in-orbit stays, regular extravehicular activities, in-orbit assembling and repair of the station. They have also gone through diving training for adaptations and intensified their strength and stamina training. A A used Spacex Falcon 9 rocket carrying 10 satellites for Iridium communications lifted off from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California on Friday. The Falcon 9 rocket, which first flew in October 2017, launched the fifth of the Iridium Next satellites for Iridium communications. This is the fifth set of 10 out of a total of 75 that Spacex is putting in orbit for the Iridium Next constellation. Pope Francis on Friday presided at a solemn Passion of the Lord service in St. Peter's Basilica, commemorating the last hours in Jesus' life. The services was attended by thousands of people in the church. At the start of the service, the Pope prostrated in prayer on the marble floor of St. Peter's Basilica on the day Christians commemorate Jesus' crucifixion.
C'era la madre di Gesù e accanto a lei voi avete vinto il maligno. Non amate il mondo.
French Catholics gathered in Paris to perform the Stations of the Cross along an ascending route, the Sacred Heart Basilica in Paris. The procession was led by Paris Archbishop Michel Aupetit. He carried a large wooden cross across 14 stations, each recalling a key moment in Christ's Passion. Catholic faithful in Mexico's Taxco city performed the traditional and highly devotional procession. The picturesque city is known for commemorating Easter week with some of the most impressive religious rites throughout Mexico. The procession of flagellants represent the high point of the city's week-long Easter celebrations. Now, let's take a look at some news from India. Minister of State of the Ministry of External Affairs General V.K. Singh will visit Iraq to bring back bodies of 39 Indians killed in Mosul. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj earlier had addressed the parliament that the 39 Indian nationals who went missing in Mosul in 2014 were killed by the terror outfit Islamic State. They were working in some projects near Mosul when they were kidnapped. After days of tension and deep freeze, India and Pakistan have mutually agreed to resolve matters related to the treatment of diplomats and diplomatic premises. The two countries had drafted the 12-point code of conduct on how they would treat diplomats from the other country in 1992. Both Indian and Pakistan officials accused each other of harassment in respective countries. Today marks the 60th year since Tibetan spiritual leader His Holiness the Dalai Lama arrived in India. The Tibetan government in exile will be holding an event in Dharamshala to thank India's role in sheltering them after a Chinese crackdown on rebellious Tibetans 6 decades ago. Indian police arrested a smuggler and recovered 27 kg of turtle skin in northern Kanpur city. The accused Salim Sheikh was planning to take turtle skins to eastern West Bengal state to smuggle the skins across the international border. These turtle shells are in high demand in countries like China, Hong Kong, Malaysia and Taiwan, where it is used as an ingredient in delicacies like soup. Officials of Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee has urged the federal government to exempt goods and services tax from a free meal service at the Golden Temple. The Golden Temple complex provides over 100,000 people free food on weekends. Officials claim GST is putting an extra burden on the finances to properly run the langars. A 3-day cricket tournament is underway for the India's top physically challenged cricketers in Mumbai. The The tournament is organized by All India Cricket Association for the Physically Challenged. It provides a platform to specially challenged cricketers to represent their states. Hollywood actress Sarah Jessica Parker has endorsed her Sex and the City castmate Cynthia Nixon's run for governor of New York. Parker endorsed Nixon on Instagram, calling her "my sister" on and off screen. Nixon is challenging incumbent government Andrew Cuomo for the Democratic nomination. Pop sensation Taylor Swift took to Twitter to announce the release of the new video of her hit song Delicate. The song features in her latest album Reputation. The songs of the album talk about the singer's lost reputation in reality. Father-in-law of Pippa Middleton is being investigated over suspected rape of a minor. David Matthews, who is the father of Pippa Middleton's husband, James Matthews, was arrested on Tuesday by the Juvenile Protection Brigade and have formally been put under investigation. Reports claim that the alleged rape took place in 1998 to 99.